Wonder Murmur, where whispers weave the heart.
Hello, little hearts. A new whisper begins. In a village nestled at the foot of Whispering Hills lived a shoemaker named Elias and his wife, Clara. Their house was small, their meals were humble, but their hearts were vast and filled with kindness. Elias was a master of his craft, his hands worn from years of cutting, stitching, and polishing leather. Yet, no matter how hard he worked, a quiet poverty always seemed to follow them. One crisp autumn evening, Elias returned from the market with a single small piece of leather. It was all they could afford. Only enough for one pair of shoes, he sighed, placing the leather on his workbench. I suppose that's better than none. Clara placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Your hands will turn it into something beautiful, Elias. Just wait and see. They said their goodnights, their spirits weighed down by the quiet worry of the days to come. What they didn't know was that high above them, in the land of the Elves, 3 young elves, Clara, Pip, and Finn, were preparing for their final test. To become full-fledged, good-hearted fairies, they had to journey to the human world and perform a truly selfless act of kindness without being seen. Clara, the leader, was quick and sharp. Pip, the smallest, was full of quiet determination. Finn, the strongest, was a gentle giant. They watched the human world from their cloud-nestled home, searching for a soul in need. Their eyes fell upon Elias and Clara's humble home, a faint flicker of sadness in the shoemaker's eyes. That night, as the moon cast its pale light upon the village, a small window in Elias's workshop silently opened. In tumbled the 3 elves, their bodies as light as moonbeams. They saw the single piece of leather, and their faces brightened with purpose. Look, whispered Clara, he needs help. A single pair of shoes, said Pip, his tiny voice full of empathy. Let's work, declared Finn. With a flurry of motion, they went to work. They danced around the table, their movements so swift they were a blur. Clara measured with a silver thread, her fingers nimble as they cut the leather. Finn hammered and glued with surprising strength. Pip, the most precise of them all, threaded the needle, his tiny body swaying with each perfect stitch. They polished the leather until it gleamed and tied the laces with a flourish. By the time the first ray of dawn peeked through the window, a pair of the most exquisite shoes sat on the workbench, a quiet masterpiece. The elves, their mission complete for the night, giggled and flew away, leaving behind the faint scent of starlight and fresh leather. The next morning, Elias walked into his workshop, a familiar heaviness in his heart. But when he saw the shoes, his jaw dropped. They were perfect. The stitching was flawless, the leather supple and shiny. He couldn't remember making them, yet there they were. Clara, he called, his voice full of disbelief. Come quickly. Clara's gasp was louder than his. But we didn't. You could have done this. I don't know, Elias said, but they are a work of art. He placed the shoes in his window, and within the hour, a wealthy duke bought them for a handsome price, paying far more than Elias had ever hoped. Elias, with a grateful heart, used the money to buy enough leather for 2 pairs. He left it out, a silent question in the air. The next morning, 2 pairs of shoes sat on the counter. The day after, 4 pairs. And so it went. Elias and Clara's fortunes turned completely. They had plenty of food, a warm house, and a life of comfort. Still, a nagging curiosity gnawed at Elias. He had to know who his mysterious benefactors were. One night, he and Clara hid behind a curtain, waiting. The clock struck midnight. The window creaked open, and in glided the three elves, their little faces shining with joy. They hummed as they worked, dancing between each other, their tiny hands moving with such skill and precision. Elias watched in utter awe. He wasn't just watching them make shoes. He was watching them pour joy and kindness into every stitch. When the elves finished, they vanished into the night as silently as they had come. Elias turned to his wife, tears of gratitude in his eyes. "We must thank them, Clara. This is a gift from the heavens themselves." The next day, instead of leaving leather, Clara baked a feast of tiny cakes and treats, and Elias crafted 3 new suits of clothes: a green tunic for Lyra, a blue one for Pip, and a red one for Finn, each with the finest buttons. They placed the gifts on the workbench and waited. At midnight, the elves returned. When they saw the food and the beautiful clothes, they stopped their work. Their mouths fell open in happy disbelief. "Look," Pip squeaked, "they made these for us." "Our mission is complete," Lyra said, her voice full of a sweet finality. "Their kindness has repaid our own." They shared the feast, ate until their tiny bellies were full, and put on their new clothes. They danced in the moonlight, their laughter echoing through the empty workshop, a final gift of joy. As they left for the last time, Elias and Clara peeked from their hiding place. They didn't feel sad, but full of a profound gratitude. From that day on, the elves never returned. But they didn't need to. Elias and Clara were no longer in want, and their hearts were forever filled with the memory of 3 little elves who showed them that the greatest gift in the world is the kindness you give away. They lived the rest of their days in peace, forever thankful for the little hands that had taught them the true meaning of a good heart.
Wonder murmur, the story departs, yet the whisper